We're so fortunate to have our guest speaker, Mr. Luis Hernandez, who is going to speak about his experiences in prison and just what led to a life of crime. And he has a lot of insight, and he's going to also be able to answer some of your questions. And this is valuable to students who are studying delinquency crime and those who are already involved in the juvenile justice system. So we're really lucky to have this opportunity. So the next time we meet with the Miami Youth Academy students, we will be breaking into our groups again. And we will have our regular types of interactions. We'll also, anyone who has their phone out, you put it away now or you can pass. Everyone, close your laptops and put your phones away. I can't believe I'm saying that at the university. Okay, so the next time we meet, we will be meeting in our groups. And the assignments for this week, my students, my Youth Academy students, all of the students will be reacting to today's presentation. And I'm not even going to bother taking control. I will be able to tell from your submissions like if you were here or not. So laptops closed. Thank you. And I want to welcome Mr. Luis Hernandez.
Good afternoon. My name is Louis. They call me Louis. I've been in and out of jail and ended up in prison as a juvenile. I've done a lot of years in prison and did a few in juvenile also. And I'm gonna straight up and say it. I've been a victim to the life of crime, a victim to the justice system, a victim to the prison, because once you're in there, they change you, and they'll either change you for the worse, or you got to make the decision inside of yourself to change for the better, to better your own self. Because nobody's going to do it for you. And I chose to rise above a life of crime. I chose to rise from being just a regular prison convict, a regular prison inmate. And I chose to be different. I wanted to get out of prison. I wanted to change my life. And that's what happened. I realized that I had that potential. But before I get into that, I wanted to let y'all know that today I stand here as the voice of all those guys in prison that are in there that have been in there for 25, 30 years, and even 40 years of their whole life just spent in there. Guys that I have met and that I have talked to. I actually lived with one as my roommate, a real old man that his mom and his aunt used to come visit him. And I really felt sorry for that man, because that man was going to die in prison. And all those years spent in there mean nothing. All those years wasted of his life. And I don't know if his mom's going to see him die in prison, or she's going to hear that he died in prison, or she's going to die first. I don't know. But all I know is that was over with for him. He will never have another chance. And just like him, I know a lot of other guys who fell in just like me, who fell in when we were 20, 21, 19, 18 years old. And once you fall in, it's so hard to get out. They make it so hard. And I first got arrested when I was 13 years old. That's what an officer told me when she was reading my transcripts one day. And I didn't even know what age. But she says, "Oh, so you started early." I said, "I guess I did." And I didn't even know I was 13 years old for a burglary or for a carjacking. And I did time in juvenile. I also did time in the Dade County Jail on the 10th floor as a juvenile. I went to TGK. I spent 2 years in Metro West also. I got out for an armed home invasion on Miami Beach. That's what I did the 2 years for in Metro West. And then from that, I did almost 2 years on the street, clean, from like 19 or 20 to 21. Managed to turn 21 on the street. And I said, well, I'll just do one more big lick, one more big robbery, and that'll be it. I'll be straight. I'll be set for, for a good while now. And yeah, I did it. But 3 weeks later, I was in jail. I was in jail, and I had victim testifying against me. I had detectives testifying against me, and I had a garbage lawyer, even though he was a paid lawyer. But still, everything was looking bad. But yet, I was 21, I was fearless, stubborn, stupid, and I said, I'm gonna go to trial. And the judge said, listen, don't go to trial. Take these 20 years or take these 10 years and just get back all the stolen jewelry. And you take these 10 years and go home. I said, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna go to trial and I'm gonna win this case. I'm gonna beat it. But it didn't happen. I went to trial. My family told me, take the 20 years then. If you don't wanna give up, take the 20 years. You'll get out, you'll have a release date. And I did it. Lost trial, got a life sentence, which I thought was a life sentence. And as I fought my case, the first few years of prison, which are the hardest, because you don't know how long you're gonna be in there for. And you keep fighting your case thinking, well, I'll be here a year, 2 years, and then I'll get out. 3 years, and then they'll grant my motion, and I'll go home. I'll be home soon. But you keep getting denied, and the court, once it sentences you, it doesn't want to look at your case no more. Once you catch a crime, and you go to court, get convicted, and get put behind the bars or those walls, that's it. You're discarded. You're like gangrene, cut off. They don't want to bother with you no more. So whatever time you got, that's what you're going to have to end up doing. And when I started digging into my case, I realized that the judge and the prosecutor had gave me a gift. They had put a little blessing in there somehow, some way, on their behalf. And instead of one life sentence, they gave me one for each charge. So I had life on armed robbery, life on aggravated battery, life on armed home invasion, armed kidnapping, and armed carjacking. So I had 5 life sentences. And I'm in the law library, and they're like, man, listen, this is not good, because you're not fighting 1 life sentence, you're fighting 5. Therefore, we just got to try to get you back in court and try to get this what they labeled you as, a habitual violent offender, and try to get that reduced. So I fought that for years, and nothing ever happened. But I just wanted to say today that I learned a lot, though, and that taught me. It broke my stubbornness, and it humbled me, and I became a student. I became a student in prison, and I started reading, started going to church, I started reading all kinds of books, and I just started wanting to get educated, because I said, you know what? As I get educated, this is going to help me get out one day. So one day I'll get out. I always kept that faith. I always believed in my heart that I was going to get out. And I told my family that too, because they were there for visits. And they wrote me, and they were there with me the whole time. They did those years with me. I actually realized that. Before I got out, I thought a lot about how my family was there for me the whole time. I realized I put my mom and I put my sisters, people that are decent, worked all their lives. I chose the street. I chose the easy money. I chose to rob and steal. I chose that. Nobody made me do it. It's a choice we all make, and I chose that. And I had to pay the consequences for it. But I didn't realize that I drugged them with me the whole time. The whole time I'm in court. The whole time I'm in jail. And then in prison. And then getting these prison visits. And my people got to wait 2-3 hours outside to get in to visit me. And my mom's hot. She's mad now. And what can I say? Don't come visit me no more? I can't. Can't look her in the face and tell her that. Because she does it out of her heart. I never asked her. And I never asked my family to come. But they want to. They were there for me. And I realized that a lot of us have family. And we drag them through these consequences. And we drag them through these hard times with what we do. Because we think we'll get away with it. But one stupid choice will take your whole life away like it did mine. So I ended up meeting all these men in prison and doing a bunch of years in prison. When I added it up to total, 15 years and 5 months that they took away from me, that I will never get back, that are gone. And I'm blessed. And I'm lucky, whatever you want to call it, to be standing here today as a free man, because many have not made it. And before I left, I even got to see men die, 42 years old, 50 years old, died in prison. And they never made it out, never made it to their family again. So I'm thankful and I appreciate that, to be out here today right now. And I got to say that I went in as a boy. I thought I was 21 years old, but really in my mind I was not 21. I was younger and stupider than that. But I came out as a man, and I'm thankful to God for that. Because everything I learned and everything I experienced in there has been for my own edification. It made me better. Like I say, prison can make you bitter, worse, deteriorate your life, corrupt you, destroy you, make you a predator. Because I'm talking about these grown men in there with 20, 30 years and life sentences, that they just become predators, preying on the younger, weaker minds of these guys coming into prison. And I saw that. And I said that that's what you can become. You can become a real piece of chewing gum. You can become a real trash in prison. Or you can rise above all that trash and make something out of your life. Not only for you, but for your family, and for everybody around you. And I learned that lesson. And it took years, but I learned it. Like I said in the beginning, that I am the voice for these men that are in there. You know, being in there, we talk a lot. And I said, man, you know what? What you guys would give up to get up out of here. Because a lot of these guys got life sentences. And they have no release date. A life sentence doesn't mean 25 years, or 30, or 40. It means no date at all. And I said, man, you know what? I give up my arm. I give up my arm and get a new one. One of them bionic ones or one of them plastic ones, but I give it up. I let them chop it off just to give freedom again. And so I said, man, you know what? I give up my leg, because I see them dudes running on the track without legs. I give it up. That's how bad you want it. When you're in there for so long, you want your freedom back, because I mean, you miss it. It's something that is truly priceless. You can't put a price on your freedom. Nobody would be crazy enough, even if they offered you $1 million, $2 million, $5 million, even if they offered you the whole lotto and tell you you're going to have to do life in prison. We'll give you the lotto, though. You'll have everything you want in prison, as far as food and buying whatever junk you can buy in there. But your liberty, that you will never be able to eat when you want to, use the restroom when you want to, shower when you want to, and you're told what to do, and you're verbally abused by officers, and if you rebel, well, you just go to confinement, or they'll put a whooping on you and submit you. Either or. Either you go peaceably or you're going to go violently. But either or, they're going to win. Because they're bigger and they got way more officers than we are. Therefore, we can't win against them. But nobody in their right mind would give up their freedom for no matter how much money in the world. Because once you lose it, you can't get it back. It's so hard to get it back. And like I said, a lot of these men died in there and never again tasted freedom again. So today I want you to think about it. Think about your freedom and how important it is to be around somebody that you love and around your family, because you will lose it. You will lose everything. Once you step into that courtroom, they're not playing no games. They really want to bury. They want to bury anybody. And they don't discriminate. A lot of these guys, man, they thought they were going to get off. And they actually got life in prison. 30 years, 40 years in prison. So, for the day, like I said, to be able to stand here and tell you on their behalf, don't waste your life and don't fall victim like we fell victim and had to pay these consequences, had to pay years of our life. I also wanted to talk about how once you fall in, like I said, they try to change you. How do they try to change you? You can't have the haircut you want. You can't have fades. You can't have long hair. You can't try to be different. Everybody has to have regulation cut. Everybody has to get stripped here and there. They search your property. They go through it. They flip your whole locker, pour out everything on the floor. I'm talking about psychologically, they torture you. Psychological torture, not only physical. Because that box is always waiting. And that box means they're going to take away whatever little things you do have. Your radio, your books, anything like that, they will be taken from you. And you will be put behind that door. And that's just more torture on top of that. You're already limited. No visit, no phone, nothing. Therefore, I understood and I realized that these people aren't playing with me. These people really, really, really want to hurt me. These people want to traumatize me. And at times I would joke and I would say, man, you know what? Man, I think I'm institutionalized. As long as I've been in prison, some things, man, I think I'm getting institutionalized. And I joked about it, but the truth is, it happens. A lot of these men in there lose that hope and just think that that will be home forever. And for a lot of them, it will. They will actually die in that prison. And just talking about how oppressive prison can get, that people will take their lives in there. I mean, you can only take so much. And so many years of getting denied and denied, motion after motion, that last year, I said, man, I finally realized. Now I understand why somebody would take their life. Because I said all these years, and I got my GED, and I've been trying to go to school, and I've been trying to go to education. And here it is, I put these motions in to try to get out of this place, to try to get out, to get some freedom. And I'm doing my best, and I'm behaving the best I can. I haven't stabbed nobody in the 15-something years I've been in prison. I haven't had to put a knife in nobody. And I thank God nobody put a knife in me. And I said, and they still deny me. And they still won't look into my case. They still reject me like I'm nothing. I said, now I understand why somebody would take their life because of this. But I still believed. I still said, you know what, I'll keep trying. And next time, I'll get granted. I can't lose hope. I got my family, I got God, and I'm going forward. I'm going to get out. One day I'm going to get out. And like I said, it changed me for the good. It changed me for the better. Now I'm able to share, those experiences, and now I'm able to talk about how all those years in prison, made me better because I chose to. I just want to share something that I wrote because prison has destroyed many people's lives, and it melted many. I even saw one of my roommates go crazy. He lost his mind. And once you lose that, you can't get it back. And that sometimes happens also in prison. Either you lose your mind and just start going crazy because you've been in there so long. But I thank God I did. It's called limitation. Could you do it? Could you bear living with 5, 10, even 15 consecutive life sentences? As if we were cats or immortal aliens. Like if we lived 1,000 years like Methuselah. They say we are the human race as they erase and extinguish, treating us like useless bars of metal. Disgusting. Stay away from them because they are rusting in a mental state of corruption. Placed in this 3,000-degree furnace, testing metals at extreme temperatures for decades. Melting some to never again take form. 1 out of 1,000 take higher shape, choosing not to conform to incompetent standards, while their pets live a life of grandeur. More concerned for a rabid dog, they deny us a vaccine, put parole to sleep indefinitely. Dreams of relief cut off like gangrene limb, never to be bothered with or thought of again. More hope for a plastic bottle cap. We can't be recycled, renewed, or rehabilitated. Must the powerful mind remain the same? Left captive in a concrete island with high walls of limitation. No seeds, no fertilizer, no soil. Only dry, barren toil. Some crack, yet others buried in these man-made holes found liquid gold. The igloo system, called just ice, keeps us in the cold, like abominable frozen carcasses in meat lockers, freezing our feelings, stiffening our emotions, numbing the warm touch of family bonds, drowning in liquid nitrogen, shattering the bridge of hope, creating a chasm between us and our families left in pieces. The Terminators thought they disposed of us, but they couldn't dissolve our strong resolve. Those oxidated bars are now the ones that sharpen iron, grinding us into razor edge points, breaking down those walls of limitation, cutting through the abandoned island of isolation, chopping off miseducation's ugly head, instead polishing our senses in a place where they keep us for mass census. Those wild infected dogs have become like the sensei, the seeing eyes of the blind, guiding through the darkness of ignorance. Are these tools left on these shelves they call cells worthless? They can't hide our value or take away our usefulness. In a place of physically limited effectiveness, influence can't be restrained, no matter how long they prolong insane. Through flexing the brain, we can't be contained when we release our potential. I learned and I realized that the men that made it in prison for the most years, kept their minds sane, were those that decided to choose education and to choose God. Those that decided to put strong faith in God. Those were the ones that were examples. Those were the ones that were influence to everybody else that was trying to change. To everybody else that was wanting deep and desiring in their hearts to get out of prison one day. By any means necessary. By any means. Any way possible. Through the courts, through education, through whatever. I realized that that's what I wanted to do and that's what I became. I also sought education. I also read the books. I also got into the writing program and became a writer, which I hated writing. Never did I pick up a pen or a pencil. In all the years I went to school, I never turned nothing in. Not a paragraph. And I actually started writing in prison. And I loved it. Because it took me out. It gave me some kind of freedom. It was therapy to me. It actually got me out of my cell. Yeah, I was sitting in the cell, a very small cell, but it's like I wasn't there. When I started writing, and I just let the pen flow, and let my thoughts go, and start pouring out of my heart, that time there, I didn't feel it. That time there felt like I was somewhere else. Felt like a little bit of freedom. So I realized that even in the worst place, you could actually get something so good. Take it and make a change out of your life and do something with yourself. But I say, why go through all that? Why go through all that when I didn't have to from the beginning? And that's why I'm here today, to say, why would you go through that? Why not walk away? Yeah, I could fight better, and yeah, I could probably beat him, and maybe he deserves for me to whoop him. But let me walk away, because I don't know what that fight might turn into. I don't know if I might kill him. I don't know what might happen. And yeah, maybe I could run somebody over with the car and get away with it, but I'm not going to do it. Because what of the consequences? What if I do wind up in jail and then in prison? That's why I'm here today, to give a warning, to plead on behalf of those men in there that will never get a chance again, and to share that story of what happened to me, how I fell a victim, how I thought getting paid and getting fast money and robbing and stealing and trying to make grands was going to give me a great gamble. It took away so many years. And I'm here today to tell you, look at my example. And don't do the stupid things I did. Does anybody have a question?
Probably letting it set in. You've given us so much.
Mr. Hernandez, when were you on the 10th floor? When were you at,
When I was 14, 15.
when was that?
It was years ago.
Because you look familiar. I used to teach on the 10th floor.
Yeah, I was on the wing first.
Uh-huh.
How they put us in the wing, and then I moved to C wing.
Oh, but that was at TGK.
No,
No, on
10th
the,
floor.
yeah, 10th floor, yeah.
10th floor has a C wing.
Right.
Yeah. I was there and I went to school maybe like 2-3 weeks, and then I got moved from there.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah, to TGK.
right.
Louis, can you talk maybe a little bit about the importance of the exchange programs for the influence that it has on the men inside, but also what it did for, what kind of relationship developed and why it was important for both partners, the inside and the outside partners?
Okay. The writing is very important for the guys inside because a lot of them don't get letters. Some of them, their mom died. Some of them don't have family. Their family got tired of their life of crime and decided to turn their back on them. Therefore, they look forward to these letters. I did 3 writing exchanges with the program. And at first I didn't want to do it. Because I'm like, man, if I want to write letters, I'll get me a pen pal, or I'll look for somebody to write to, which I'm going to know their name and I'm going to know who I'm writing to. But I said, you know what? Let me just go ahead and do it. My teacher, Kathy, she's doing it. She say, I'm just going to submit and do what I don't want to do, but I'm just going to go ahead and go through with it. And I actually liked it. I actually I still have their writing from 3 years ago that we wrote and we exchanged. And a lot of these people I exchanged with here at UM, they really blessed me. Once they shared their philosophy, their thoughts, their way of seeing life, and their way of seeing the topics that we were writing about, I treasured it. And I appreciated what they shared with me. And sometimes when you do these exchanges, you will reach some of these people's hearts, And at the end, I was like, man, I want to meet these people so bad. I want to meet my writing partner, And at the same time, they were they're feeling like that on the other side. They wanted to meet me and how I wrote and what I talked to them about. So, like I said, a lot of these guys really appreciate your writing. A lot of these guys value it, treasure it, because that's all they have. That's all they're gonna get as long as they're in prison. These exchange letters that you send them and the words you give them, that's what they're gonna have and that's what they're gonna keep.
Our class is a little bit different because this is a juvenile residential facility. We're able to interact, and they're here. So my students in our juvenile delinquency class, they actually get to meet the students they're conversing with. Most of them, if they earn their way to come. Not everyone has come, but I'm hoping that everybody will. I'm hoping, and yeah. So we're very fortunate because in your situation, you weren't able to leave and come to the university. They're actually here. And I'm betting they have questions for you. Well, some of my students have questions.
How long has it been since you've been out?
I got out January the 26th. Well, on a month.
Wow. On technique, the piece you wrote is really evocative. It's just really a nice piece. And can you speak to how recollected emotion plays a piece in developing that evocative language, like coming into that real strong metaphoric language you use?
Yeah. because there's just so much, basically simple talk around prisoners. There's not much education when they're out there on the rec field. That we write these poems in a way that would get them to think. Man, what is he saying? What words is he using? Because a lot of these guys dropped out of middle school or ninth grade or didn't even go to high school. Maybe they just went to elementary. And a lot of them lack education. A lot of them don't, read a lot, can't read, or they can't write. A lot of men in prison are like that. So when we do these poetry pieces and these spoken word, we try to, provoke them. And we try to get them to be curious, and wonder what we're talking about. Because therefore then they will join the class. And then they'll get taught in school, on how to do it and how to, write your own poetry and write your own words. Yeah. Yeah.
How has assimilating back into the world been for you?
It's been great. It's been great. I can't say it's hard because I think it was harder in there, just sometimes sitting around and thinking, I'm wasting time, which I wasn't though, because I was trying to take most advantage of my time. But out here, time flies by. I'm talking about there's things I want to do throughout the day that I'm not able to do. And just to sit down and write will take you, 3 hours easily, 2-3 hours of your time. So I'm enjoying it, and my teachers tell me, to be patient, take it slow, don't try to rush, do everything. So that's what I'm doing. Yeah. Slowly but surely, I'm starting to enjoy it and get back. Yes.
Do you think if you would have taken the 20 years instead of going to trial, you would have got out sooner than the 15 years?
No, I'd still be doing a year and something still. Yeah. So it actually, God worked it out for the good. Yeah. Actually got right in the middle. I ended up getting right in the middle between the 10 and the 20. Yeah. And that was a miracle in itself. And that's a whole nother story. How I got out. Yeah, that's a whole nother story.
So I just want to maybe put in context, because Louis not giving you the full picture, is that he went into prison basically with almost no education. I mean, his sister can probably attest to that, and Louis can attest to it. He didn't go to his classes, or he'd go to his classes and then he'd go out the other door, and he just didn't go to school. And when he got his GED in prison and had this epiphany to actually use his time, then he started to come to a writing class. So just imagine somebody who comes into a writing class with very little education, and his first assignments, maybe he wrote a paragraph, maybe, maybe. And then he started to write 2 paragraphs and 3 paragraphs. And by the time Louis left the institution where I teach, he was writing 20-page stories. And he became a poet, as you heard. And so maybe you want to read the piece about the pen. Did you bring it with you?
Which one?
Falling in love with the...
Oh, and I thought I know right.
Yeah.
Louis
Just
said
to
the
show
pen.
you the evolution of what understanding education can do, and it came through the classes, so that might be a good...
Yeah. When I went to take my GED for the first time, they tested me with the TABE, and my TABE scores were like 5th grade level, and the highest I think I got in reading or vocabulary was like 8th grade level. I wasn't even touching 9th. I wasn't even around 9th grade. Reading and vocabulary was around 8th grade level. So I spent like 3 years to get my GED, but I got it. And that was the first time I ever wrote an essay. But I learned how to write that essay, and I actually did a good job on that essay because the GED instructor that was there that day read it, and she came back and she said, "I really like your essay." She says, "You're talking about something that's very relevant right now and very important." And the essay I wrote was just on books. I said how I pick up a book, and sometimes I'll take it on the yard, sometimes I'll take it to medical, I'll take it everywhere with me, in prison, everywhere I can go, and I'll be reading that book, and how important these books have become to me. I wrote an essay on that. But I'm going to share the poem that Kathy wanted me to share, how after I got my GED, then came that program. It was like I say sometimes, everything has worked out like according to plan, because I would have never become a writer, and I would have never picked up that pen if the program hadn't come right after I got my GED. And she caused this. That's the name of the poem. She caused this. She came when I was in a sunken state of seclusion, time spent immobily thinking, daydreaming, heart and mind wandering to the point of sinking, nothing being poured out of me, solo cup drinking, like a blank paper just staring. She reached out, took my idle hands and guided them, slowly, gently pushing my fingers. I gave her little of my time, she gave me all of hers. I resisted getting too involved, she didn't take note and kindly persisted in a subtle way, letting me know she would not leave me because she believed in me. From the beginning, the rhetoric was new and powerful. Every day she seduced me to give more of my time. Unaware, I was falling into her crafty ways. She waits on me like a waitress with outstretched arms and will remain there until I can no longer be her maid. My floating thoughts she captured and put them in between her lines. My seasick emotions were anchored to the thin skin. She absorbs every sentence, no rejection, no belittling my smallest, weakest words. She proudly displays them on her white skin, letting me tattoo whatever I want on her bare skin. They call it revising, I call it romanticizing, conversing, going over words for hours until there's nothing sounding stale or sour. Through her, what I say is stronger, leaving a lasting impression, making me draw out a profound silence. Now there's no suppression. We collaborate on love, forgiveness, faith expressions, conspiring together, inspiring to birth works of art, motivating me from the small steps of a slow start, causing love letters and books. Her skills have me dangling. I'm hooked, scribbling notes throughout the day. She keeps my pen's heart running, becoming my lovely paper mate. I hug her tightly with my fingers. She hugs me back when I read the words. I now know possession. Because the more I know her, I don't want our sessions to end. Writing away stress, anxiety, and boredom. Her lines strangle my depression, giving release to therapeutic decompression. My simple life, she enriched, giving me style, expanding my skills, enabling me to share what I never thought to reveal. My fears, my worries, my dreams, my goals. She faithfully listens, records, and treasures. Her usefulness and impact can't be measured. Time has tested her worth. Of this I am assured. And now I am urged to devote myself to her. Certainly, she will be with me till hands can't move. Eyes can't see the movement. Ears can't hear the sounds that move. Brains can't move to think of a word to write. I will leave her behind. Unmovable as she is, she will keep me in mind. Peddling my memoirs, essays, short stories, and poems. She will keep my words alive. Yeah.
In terms of becoming a writer yourself, how important did you find like reading what others have written? Like, did you find that in its own way towards the beginning, like helping to keep you like pushing forward to some degree?
Yeah, definitely. You know, and like my teachers always say, you know, read a lot. You know, that helps you. You know, as you read a lot also, not that you're gonna, you know, copy other people's writing, and not that you're gonna, you know, be a cliche writer and write, you know, just what everybody else is saying or little quotes that everybody else says. But reading is very important, yeah. Reading is very important, and it helps you develop your vocabulary. You know, just because he might use a word and I'll use that word and I'll change the sentence and I'll change everything, but I'm going to use that same word. Yeah. So it is good, very important. Yeah. I started off reading a lot in prison, and then towards the end, my last few years there, that's when I picked up the writing. But yeah, reading was important for all of you. Yeah.
What writers are you most inspired by?
I'm inspired by the guys that are like great examples. One of them is Dwayne Reginald Betts, and he did 9 years in prison, got out, put his poetry book, wrote a book about his life, became a bestseller, and now he actually became a lawyer, went to law school and everything. So I say, man, that's who I'm gunning for. That's what I aspire to be. Get out of prison and become somebody, you know, from being a nobody in there to getting out here and doing something with your life is great. Those are the authors I love reading. I love reading success stories, because when you've been down for so long and you've been trashed for so long, you want to be something better, you know, and those are the authors I enjoy and I love reading.
Okay, so our class actually ends in a few minutes. Do any of you have any last minute questions? We're so fortunate to have you share your poetry, share your insights. The class studies juvenile delinquency. Our goal is to come up with a position paper to make a difference. We're partnering with Miami Youth Academy. We're fortunate to have the students here as well. And I know a lot of them are shy, a lot of my students are shy. Maybe they could stay after a little bit for a few minutes to ask you questions. We have to vacate the room because there's another class.
Yeah.
But maybe we could just stand in the hallway. Did you have a question, Tristan?
So what would you say like kind of steered you towards like that path? Would you say like it's the people you hung out with that kind of influenced you to do that? Is it like a lack of support with like your family? Or what would you say?
Oh, for me to choose?
Yeah, like to choose to go down like the criminal path.
It was really like, I'd have to say abusive treatment from my dad at home. Yeah, I hated him and I hated everything he stood for, and you know, he worked and he worked hard, so I said, nah, that's not gonna be me. You know, I'm gonna choose a different path, and that's what turned me to the street. That's what, you know, drove me away from, you know, school and everything. Yeah. So I wrote a poem like that too, you know, like, man, was it my dad or was it the devil's hands? You know, I don't know what it was, but it was something that as a kid turned turned me to the street, and I like it. And yeah, anybody will like it. You just don't realize you're gonna one day pay the consequences.
Yeah, so I know they're going to have to write the policy paper, so they probably do, like your insight is very helpful, because they're gonna think about that. What is it that leads to the kid, and what would make a kid more likely to change, and is, not recidivate. So what you've taught us is so invaluable. Thank you.
I'm honored and blessed to be here. Believe me, a lot of guys would love to be out here right now.